My name is Catherine Jordan. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I'm here with Jodi James. I'm from Florida, and I'm with the president of the chapter managing here. Washington is not the most easiest town for people that are handicapped to get around. It's just a really hard ride. But I've been on hard rides before, so it really doesn't matter. I am an activist, but only because I choose to be one. I have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and there is proof now that there is actual documented proof by the MDA that there is a really strong research that cannabis will delay the progression of ALS. And I think this is something that should be discussed.
You are here to speak about medical marijuana?
Yes. I have ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, and I was diagnosed in 1986, given 3 to 5 years to live. I've been given 2 years to live for the last 18 years. I'm still here. I now have the research that is available out of Washington State from the MDA. But I cannot discuss this from my doctor in Miami, who is also with the MDA. But I think this is quite a travesty. The politicians are getting involved in something that is a medical issue. This is there is nothing out there that stops ALS, nothing at all. It's a debilitating disease. I have lived through 3 support groups. I've outlived all of them. And the disease devastated my body in the first 3 years. I had it. When I started to use cannabis, my disease stopped. My doctor, that my disease stopped, he thought that I was delusional. I was looking grasping for straws because I didn't want to handle the fact that I was going to die. So rather than being institutionalized and for having dementia, I decided to just keep quiet. I kept on smoking and I'm still alive. I'm no longer being quiet about it, and I'm going after people like Mr. Mica, who said that I do not want crack, I do not want heroin. Cannabis does protect the neurons in the brain. And there is not much that does that other than cannabis. You know, I prefer to smoke it only because people with my disease do not cough. When I smoke, I cough. I do not smoke cigarettes, I just smoke marijuana. I use that as a medicine. I do not what you will call abusive. If I take the pharmaceutical medicines that my doctor recommends, I become a zombie. Now I've smoked marijuana for 3 neurologists. All 3 neurologists were quite speechless when they got done examining me. They examined me before I smoked, and I went outside, I smoked, I come back in. They re-examined me. Each one of them were quite flabbergasted. First off, that I could speak. Second, that I could still eat. And third, that I could cook. And all these things are only because of cannabis. And I just would like him to rethink the issue, and the information is on the MDA website if you want to look into it. And it is after, it's just that the doctors are more afraid of the federal government. And I find it very disheartening that I have 3 of the top neurologists on the East Coast that no longer want to speak to me because of our politician.
Okay.
That's all.
What is the difference in the effects between the cannabis smoked and the pharmaceutical prescription?
I go up Marinol. Now, once I ingest a medication, I have to live with the results of that medication. For some reason out of the blue, I take one muscle relaxer at night, 1.5 to help me sleep. And because I cannot take sleeping pills, I take 1.5 muscle relaxers at night to sleep. And then what I do is, that's all the pharmaceuticals that I take. I use cannabis.
To address the question, again, she mentioned that once you have ingested the Marinol, you're pretty much committed to it. We've heard things like people who have tongues swell up, so there's reactions to this pharmaceutical medicine that's not immediately apparent. When you ingest cannabis smoked, the results are almost instantaneous. And remember the two things that she said that you'll never get with a pharmaceutical drug. Drooling is a problem for ALS patients, and one of the so-called side effects, the unintended consequences, is dry mouth from smoked cannabis. That's cotton mouth is the slang. The other effect of cannabis that you're not going to get from the Marinol is it makes you cough. Now remember, people with diseases like ALS, within a couple of years, they lose the ability to move the lungs like that. Within 3 years, most of them are on respirators. And it's that ability, it's the fact that every day when she inhales and she has to cough a little bit, that keeps those muscles vibrant. You're never going to get that with the pharmaceutical. It's interesting, you know, people talk about with AIDS patients, you know, there's other treatments with cancer patients, there's other treatments with chronic pain, there's other medication. We have ALS patients, MS patients, and for these there are not other medicines, and science has finally begun to understand. And if you want to go to mdausa.org, that's the official website of the muscular, no dot between the USA, just mdausa.org, and do a sub on cannabis or marijuana. I think marijuana is the term they technically use, though that would be a slang term. If you go back the last 5,000 years, medicinally it's considered tinctures of cannabis. But if you check for keyword marijuana, you'll find that there is nothing else that is actually protecting the neurons, and that tends to be with the MS. What you're finding is that it's protecting the neurons, and once those neurons begin to get damaged, there's no turning back on that, and we believe that marijuana is arresting the disease, stopping the actual damage. So with Kathy, she's been in this state for almost 13 years.
18 years.
But you've had deterioration. When did the deterioration stopped, though?
I'm in 89 when I smoked cannabis. It's taken me 10 years to reduce my sentimentals. But also the fact, thank you, brought me back to my train of thought. If I take a pill, my neurologist changed my muscle relaxer. When he did, once I ingested one pill, I could not stand for 5 days. I couldn't keep food down for 5 days. I could not even use cannabis. I was petrified because I thought I'd kill myself by just changing medication. So
we've talked about whether or not if another form were available, if Kathy would look at another form, sublingual spray or something. But Kathy lives because of cannabis. And no one in Kathy's family, and they all live in Florida, and no one in Kathy's family is willing for her to take a chance of a derivative or a possible solution. We have a solution. It works. If Representative Mica will sign off on 2233 and co-sponsor it, it'll let individual states take care of it. Our biggest fear in Florida is that Kathy won't be arrested under Florida FDLE, but that the federal government would arrest her. In Florida, she has access to medical necessity as a defense. So once we get her out of jail, if she lives through the incarceration process while we bail her out, then we can go to trial and we can present some of the information we gave to you. Without HR 1717, which is also something that Representative Mica can co-sponsor, her information will never get before a jury of her peers at the federal level. And this is not just something that affects us, and that's why we came in mass. Representative Mica seems to want to stand up regularly and talk about how this is not medicine, and we are willing to keep coming back until he has seen enough people who are suffering and surviving with this medicine, that he's willing to sit down on this issue, or better yet, move forward and show that this really is, he is a Republican who believes in states' rights.